nice one, Simba.
Thanks. Man, I'm stuffed.
Me too. I ate like a pig.
Pumbaa, you are a pig.
Oh, right. Timon,
Yeah?
ever wonder what those sparkly dots are up there?
Pumbaa. I don't wonder. I know.
Oh, what are they?
They're fireflies. Fireflies that got stuck up in that big bluish black thing.
Oh, gee. I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
Pumbaa, with you, everything's gas.
Simba, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, come on,
well,
come on, Simba, come on.
We told you ours. Please.
Well,
Give?
somebody once told me that the great kings of the past are up there, watching over us.
Really?
You mean a bunch of royal dead guys are watching us? Who told you something like that?
Yeah.
What mook made that up? Oh,
Yeah, pretty dumb, huh?
oh you're killing me, son.
Yeah, sure.
Ooh. Oh. Was it something I said?
Hey everybody! I always like that video when we're talking about constellations. So what we're going to do today is talk about what are these constellations anyway, and why do we still use them? Because they're not really based off anything scientific. They were just people looking at the stars and kind of imagining things. It was their imaginations. So let's kind of dive into it here and everything. I mean, the official term of what a constellation is, I mean, it's literally looking at the stars and you see stuff, you know, kind of like, did you ever lay on your back on a sunny, warm afternoon and you look up at the clouds and you're like, that cloud looks just like a puppy dog and that one looks like a dog bone or something like that, right? Well, the same thing is true with the stars for us. So, you know, people look up the stars and see lots of different things, right? So, you know, kind of like in this picture right here, where you can see lots and lots of stars in the sky. You know, you and I, you might look up at the sky and be like, oh yeah, a bunch of little dots. But if you sat and took your time, you might kind of start connecting the dots connecting the dots together, kind of like a dot to dot, and be able to see things. That's where, like, let's say Orion the Hunter, right? Part of your assignment where you had to go out and look at the stars, one of the things you had to find was Orion the Hunter. Now, I don't know if people just had really good imaginations way back when or not. But I mean, you know, it's easy to find Orion's belt. There are 3 relatively bright stars in the night sky. How they kind of connected these together, I mean, it roughly makes the shape of a hunter. Why does he have 2 hands? I don't know. But, you know, it's kind of a stretch in some ways. But I guess, you know, they had a lot of time and imagination way back when they were making these official constellations and everything for us. But it's just kind of what you see in the night sky when you look at it, right? So it's a group of stars together. It's kind of like a dot to dot when you were a little kid. Like, you know, you put all these little dots together and you're like, it makes a dinosaur or a chicken or whatever it is that you're talking about. Now, in different areas of the world, they came up obviously with different constellations. It's not like everyone saw the same thing at the same time. But as people traveled more and got around and everything like that, and were like, I think this looks like a kitty cat. And other people were like, no, it looks like a dog. Over time, over many, many generations, we did kind of like come up with, people start to agree more and more with what the constellations look like, especially in general regions of the planet and everything for it. But there's no one way that I think everyone on the entire planet looks at it. So like there's some very common ones though, like there's Leo the lion, roughly looks like a lion. The Big Dipper is probably the most famous one, right? Because it actually kind of looks like a Big Dipper and everything. And the stars that are in it are fairly bright and everything. Oh, here's Orion the Hunter again, you know, with the stars. And then here's kind of like an ancient map of those constellations where, you know, they actually drew in like a scorpion or a, you know, a lion or whatever it is that they, you know, they were talking about, big swan and stuff like that. So some of them, like I was saying, are fairly easy, like the Big Dipper to see, you know, like kind of like these pictures right here. Others are not quite as easy to see depending on it. Now, you have to remember, kind of like we talked about with that star wheel again, the stars, it's not that the stars are moving, but from our perspective, it looks like they're moving because we're on Earth and Earth is spinning. So the stars that you can see are spinning and they're changing, right? The Big Dipper, you cannot see all the time, right? In the summer months, it's kind of like high and bright in the night sky and it's fairly easy to see. But now in the winter months, it dips down fairly early in in the evening, and you can't see it for a good part of the day unless you wait, in the morning, like in the wee hours of the morning, it kind of pops back up and everything until it gets bright out for it. And then it's usually kind of high in the sky during the day for us, so we can't really see it for it. If you were to do a time lapse, right? Let's say you were to set your camera up, looking at the stars, and you kind of like have a camera where you can click it and hold the shutter open indefinitely, right? You'd actually be able to see it, right? So the star in the very middle right here, obviously, is the North Star or Polaris. It does move ever so slightly and everything, but for the most part, it stays in almost the exact same spot. And then the stars kind of spin around it, right? So the Big Dipper, it might be like kind of over here, well, maybe a little further over here. So that's why I mean, like it kind of like dips down. You can't see it for a couple hours, and then it pops back up. And then in the wintertime, it's kind of like up here high in the sky and everything for us. So that's just kind of, depending on the seasons as the stars spin around. But it's kind of cool to see the streak, right? Theoretically, if you could do this and it was dark for 24 hours, then each one star would be one whole streak all the way around, right? Assuming this is 24 hours, I mean, you can kind of guesstimate. Maybe the exposure of this was about 1 hour, if that's like 1/24 of the way all the way around for it. So it's just kind of a cool effect to see for it with cameras and everything. Remember, the Big Dipper is kind of an interesting one because it's relatively easy to find. Most people understand it, but it points, the bottom edge of it points towards Polaris or the North Star, which Polaris is the end of the Little Dipper, which is kind of upside down, right? So it's just kind of interesting way to do it. So even though these constellations, it's not that they're based on scientific facts, they're just people's opinion, they do get used often. So, for example, Polaris or the North Star, if you're looking for it, if you're kind of like, where is it in the night sky? And you're kind of like lost which way is which and everything. It would be hard if there were no constellations to pick out like that one right there is Polaris, because it's not like it's the brightest star by any means in the night sky. But if you find the Big Dipper, then it suddenly becomes very easy to find Polaris because it's really from there, it's like the next kind of big, obvious bright star in the night sky. So it makes it much, much easier to find things. And scientists will use this, let's say, if there's going to be a meteor shower. A lot of meteor showers are actually named after the constellation where it appears like they're coming out of, right? So they're helpful, in finding things in the night sky. It's kind of an easy way to orient yourself. So that's why we talk about constellations. So there are fun ones like the Birthday Cake constellation. Here's another map of the night sky with some of the main ones right here for you. So you can see like Gemini or Taurus or Scorpio and things like that for it. Obviously the North Star is kind of in the middle, and these guys are all the ones that are spinning around. Here's Pegasus. And again, I mean, I wouldn't look at this and see a flying horse, but someone I guess did. I guess so. For them. There's also you could do like the Buzz Lightyear, which I think almost kind of looks better than Orion does with the belt going across here and everything. You could be kind of silly when you look up at the night sky. You could see things like maybe you see the Shark constellation, whereas other people see other things, or the Darth Vader constellation someone even found, or okay, that can't be real. All right, move now. Okay, that's shameful. Okay, how about this? Sometimes shameful promotion.
Last night, while you slept, the zits came out like stars. The Big Dipper. The Little Dipper. The North Star. To win this Star Wars once and for all, get Oxy 10 with benzoyl peroxide, the strongest acne medicine you can buy, to dry up zits and help keep new zits from forming. Maximum strength Oxy 10 helps keep the stars where they belong, in the sky.
I don't think they even still sell Oxy 10, but it's just kind of funny that, the constellations are pretty well known around the world and even used in commercials. Hey, the last thing we want to talk about is if you're looking at a lot of these pictures, you're thinking, okay, that's nice that there's some stars up there and they kind of connect together. But you're wondering, like, it doesn't seem like there are that many stars. Well, that's usually because of what's called light pollution. So, like, here's a picture of somewhere common, like, around us. And you can definitely see there's some stars in the night sky, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. Here's a picture from the exact same place, but this one was actually taken down during a power outage. So you can see most of the lights are actually turned off. I mean, a lot of these lights are because of, like, street lights and things like that are going on. Here, it looks like there's just, like, maybe, you know, like a flashlight or something like that going off in the house. But for the same position, here's what the stars are supposed to look like, right? I mean, you can actually see the Milky Way going across, and you can see lots and lots of hundreds, if not thousands, of stars everywhere, right? And so light pollution just has to do with how many lights are all around you, right? And so where we live, and I'll show you a zoom in just a second, we're not super, super bad, right? But we're pretty bad. And it kind of like where we live, it just depends where your house is and what's around you and everything. Here's a closer shot of, you know, we live, you know, Susquehanna Valley is right down in here. So we're not as bad as like New York or Philadelphia, you know, or some of the, you know, DC, some of the really big cities down here. But we're right like kind of on the edge of it being pretty bad. Even down towards Lancaster, there's a lot more light pollution than where we are for it. But it's still pretty bad. Now, if you want to go see the stars the best you can in our general area, right? That's where if you go up north, there's a big, big forest. There's state game lands and stuff like that's literally you're not allowed to build things and turn on lights and stuff like that in the area. And it's the biggest one place on the eastern seaboard where this little kind of dark area right here, where there are actually regulations about how many lights you can have and everything like that. So if you want to go see the stars and you want to see the Milky Way, like, oh, there it is, like in the pictures, you can go up there. There's a park called Cherry Springs State Park, and you can actually stay there overnight with a tent and everything like that, but you're not allowed to have white flashlights or anything like that. There are actually rules against it, and you can go and see stars and everything, kind of like some of the pictures that I'll show you, like this guy right here. Like, you can actually see the Milky Way and everything for it. I went there camping with my wife a couple of years ago, and it's true. You can actually like take pictures, and you can actually see like, whoa, there are way, way more stars out there than what we see here. Like, or this picture right here. Here's another picture of, this is exactly what the night sky is supposed to look like. It's just that we have so many lights on around us, it kind of drowns out the light of the stars. Ways that you can help with this, right? I mean, you know, do you really need that light on all the time? I know in my neighborhood, we have several people in our neighborhood who, I mean, they leave these blinding lights on all around their house all night long. I don't know if they're afraid like the raccoons are going to get them or what, but it's kind of annoying to me if I want to see the stars. Far better would be if you had a smaller light, if it's a place where you absolutely need a light, because let's not even talk about like the energy wasting of running a light all night long, night after night for not really any good reason. But a better way would be like just keep the light off. Maybe have a motion detector in case someone's coming or something like that. Or, you know, if you have a light, you know, have it not like shining light up all around everywhere. Maybe just a focus light. So it's just kind of shining in one little tiny spot, you know, if you need it. Right. So those are all, you know, some examples of how you can kind of like help with light pollution so that, you know, people can see the stars again and everything. Let me show you to kind of close. There's a quick little video that gives you an explanation or, well, another example about light pollution and how many stars you could see based on where you're at in the country.